What's happening around the world and what's happening here at home? A very good evening to and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Chandraa Ferdinando.
And I'm Dithmini De Silva. Let's start off with a look at the headlines.
CEB unions denounce proposed Sri Lanka electricity bill and launch 3 days of protests. Ceylon Electricity Board cracks down on social media use by employees. No borrowing, no printing. President says there is no alternative apart from increasing taxes. Presidential election before October 2024, says UNP's Wajra. Iran and Harsha maintain their position on SLJs formation of alliances.
අපි මොඩියෝ නෙමෙයිනේ කෙටි කාලීන රැලි වලට ඉරාන් වික්‍රමරත්න කළා හර්ෂ දිසිරලා මේ කලබල වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Sri Lanka names squad to face Zimbabwe.
First up in news here at home, joint trade unions launched a 3-day protest against the controversial Sri Lanka electricity bill, a proposed legislation that seeks to restructure the state-owned Ceylon Electricity Board. The bill proposes dividing the CEB into 6 separate entities, all of which could be registered under the Companies Act.
In response to the protest, Power and Energy Minister Chandraa has reportedly moved to restrict the trade unions' actions. However, the unions remain undeterred, emphasizing their demand for the complete withdrawal of the bill, and held a protest outside the CEB's main office this afternoon.
Ceylon Electricity Board trade unions descended upon the board's main office in Colombo Fort, kicking off a 3-day protest against the controversial Sri Lanka electricity bill. The crux of their concern lies in the bill's proposal to divide the CEB into 6 separate entities. Adding to the charged atmosphere, by the time the protest started, the police anti-riot units and the Navy had been deployed near the main office of the Electricity Board.
We will defeat the efforts of Chandraa and Ranil Wickramasinghe to sell off the North Chole to Adani or Tata or the Chinese. Chandraa must withdraw this immediately. If he fails to do so, after the 3-day protest, we will reach Parliament on the day that it will be tabled. We will engage in strikes from noon prior to the date of tabling this bill. They have cancelled our leave. Chandraa, take a look. The workers violated your circular to come here. The president said the government will not engage in business. We say that 91% of operations in Kuwait, 45% in Singapore and 26% in India are carried out by the state. The petroleum sector has been awarded to Sinopec, which is a state company. Indian Oil Company is also an Indian state company.
Minister of Power and Energy Chandraa has issued a stern warning to Ceylon Electricity Board employees, announcing zero tolerance for service disruptions and guideline violations. In an X message, formerly Twitter, Wijayasekara stated that officials have been instructed to suspend any employee engaged in such activities. The minister confirmed that the proposed reforms, including amendments, have been submitted to Parliament for approval. Furthermore, Wijayasekara announced that proposals to reduce electricity tariffs will be presented to the Public Utilities Commission next week. The bill aims to establish independent corporate entities responsible for activities related to electricity generation, transmission, distribution, trade, supply and procurement, already performed by the Ceylon Electricity Board. It also proposes for the establishment of entities for the regulation of the energy sector and the issue of licenses. The Ceylon Electricity Board has imposed a strict social media ban on its employees. The ban, effective 19th December 2023, prohibits employees from using their official identity and information on social media platforms for any purpose. The circular, issued by Acting General Manager Dr. Narendra Silva, outlines several activities deemed as serious offences under the board's disciplinary rules. These include disclosing confidential information, posting defamatory or false content, as well as spreading sexual, political or inappropriate content. Furthermore, sharing misinformation that could cause public unrest or panic is a serious offence, in addition to making statements that harm the board's reputation. It notes that such content should not be uploaded, posted, forwarded or shared across any social media platform. The circular issued by Acting General Manager Dr. Narendra Silva emphasizes that company-issued mobile phones are meant for official communication. The ban extends to group chats and online communities frequented by CEB employees. The circular warns that if false information is found to be circulating within such groups, disciplinary action will be taken against the group administrator. The CEB circular highlights the concern for protecting the company's reputation. It specifically aims to prevent the unnecessary exposure of sensitive information to external parties through social media networks.
This was the reaction of the Sri Lanka Working Journalists Association regarding this circular.
A clear ruling regarding this was given in 2012 by the Supreme Court. A teacher filed a case in court after her cries to the media about workplace issues were met with harassment. The Supreme Court in their ruling has said that people have the right to voice their personal concerns. Against such a backdrop, they are introducing such circulars. The government is making decisions regarding these institutions according to their own whims and fancies, to privatize them or to sell them to their friendly businessmen. Behind the scenes, there are bribes taking place. Freedom of expression and the right to voice concern is enshrined in the Constitution and protected by judicial precedent. No engineer or general manager can restrict it through a circular. These are rights collectively enjoyed by the general public.
Ceylon Teachers Service Union expressed views on this matter.
They think that they can hide their criminal activities by restricting the use of social media and restricting the people's right to information. They will introduce more of such legislation in the future to combat the people's right to protest.
A decision reached by Sri Lanka's Cabinet of Ministers with regard to short message service or SMS had drawn concern from multiple quarters.
The Department of Government Information in a statement on cabinet decisions reported that it has been observed that the excessive use of short message system or SMS has led to fraud, spam and illegal activities. Therefore, it has been recognized of the requirement of a centralized short message system network security appliance firewall or SMS firewall to regularize short message exchange in order to confront such challenges. Accordingly, a proposal has been submitted for implementation of an international A2P short message services center by InfoBip, which is a UK-based private company.
This proposal was introduced for the safety of the people. The main issue faced by many is mobile marketing that is directed to the mobile devices of the people. That is what we are hoping to regulate. Personal data is already being used by these private firms. What we hope to achieve is, if a person does not wish to receive mobile marketing messages or advertisements, the person will be able to stop receiving them. We are carrying out a program to protect the people through this. There are many scams taking place online and via SMS. We hope to regulate that.
While proposals for social media restrictions and SMS monitoring dominated the discussion, yesterday's public protest against Anuradhapura District SLPP MP SM Chandraa stole the spotlight. Today he offered his response.
ඊයේ මාධ්‍ය තුලින් මේ ඔබතුමාන්ලා ජනතාව විසින් ඔබතුමාන්ලාව හූ කියලා එළවන තත්වයට පත් වෙලා තියෙනවා. මොකද්ද මේ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? ඇත්තටම මොකද්ද උනේ?
ජනතාව හූ කියලා
Villagers hooting you out of the village does not mean that the public was there. There were less than 25 people there. It was at my request that the President provided finances from the President's funds for 20 RO plants. This is our money. Even though this is the money of the government, it is us who used it for the village. The President provided it at my request. They have distorted our statements and misled the people. I will not drive away the people of Rajarata. I would like to tell everyone to stop me in the next election. I would even challenge Anuradh Dissanayake to contest from the Anuradhapura district and gain more votes than me. I like challenges. I would like to say that our journey will not stop, even if foxes cry.
Reflecting on the incident that took place yesterday, the villagers who were against SM Chandraa and his brother in Konwaba, Tamuttegama, emphasized that the people's money should not be treated as their own.
Meanwhile, residents of the Lolugaswava village in Anuradhapura took to the streets today, staging a protest to demand a solution to the ongoing issue of wild elephant encroachment.
Villagers from Akkara Visipaha, Neeraviya, Manin village, Lolugaswava and Baladaksha Mawata stood together, highlighting the widespread impact of elephant encroachment on their lives and livelihoods. The protest also disrupted traffic flow on the nearby road, drawing additional attention to the villagers' cause. This is what happened when the local police tried to intervene.
අපේ අඳුරනේ පාරවල් වහන්න බෑ. අපේ නීති අනුව පාරවල් වහපුවා පොලිසිය ආපිය කරලා ගැටෙන්නේ. මට ලෝඩ් රේඩේ පාර අරින්න කිව්වා. ඔයාලා මොකද ඉන්නේ?
දැන් මේ අවුරුද්දේ අපි දැන් මාස දෙකමාරක් විතර සර් නිදි නැහැ. මේන් වල ඉන්නේ. කිසිම දෙයක් කරගන්න විදියක් නැහැ. තාප්ප ගැඩුවා.
යාලි අලි එලවන්න කියලා කියන්නේ මොකද කියන්නේ?
අලි වනජීවි අධ්‍යක්ෂකට ගිහිල්ලා කිව්වා අපි මේකට මොකක් හරි විසඳුමක් දෙන්න. එයා කිසි විසඳුමක් දෙන්නේ නැහැ. එයා සුභෝගී භෝගීව අර කඩපණ ඇතුලේ එකේ ජීවත් වෙනවා ලස්සනට.
නෑ මෙහෙමනේ. දැන් ඔයා මේ දැන් ඊට කරලා නිමේ ගහලා නරුනේ. පාර වැහුවනේ. මේගොල්ලන්ගේ පාර වැහුවනේ. අපි දැන් වනජීවිලා අලි කතා කරානේ. ඒ පාර වහලා මේක පුත්‍රයා නෙමෙයි. හරිද? මේක වනජීවි මහත්මිය කතා කරගන්න.
Thereafter, the people moved away from the road. We wrote 2 letters. After that, they responded to it. Look at their response. This is what they said when we told them about our human-elephant conflict. Are the officials in the presidential secretariat so weak? We did not ask them to catch monkeys. We asked them to give us a solution for this elephant issue. This response is about catching monkeys. The protesters dispersed after protesting for about an hour.
Triggered by allegations of a late-night document purge at the National Medicines Regulatory Authority, the Society of Government Pharmacists initiated a fact-finding mission, conducting an official visit to the NMRA.
කර ලිපිගොනු රැට ඇවිල්ලා පරිපාලන නිලධාරිය සහ විජිත් ගුණසේකර ප්‍රධාන විධායක නිලධාරිය සහ තව ඔවුන්ට සම්බන්ධ සහාය දක්වන නිලධාරීන් පිරිසක්
and several of their other associates had visited the NMRA and the building located down Ramanayaka Mawata, shredded documents and sent them to the municipal council. When we got to know of this, we provided the information. Document destruction had been taking place for months. 2 of the bags with shredded documents were left behind last night. There is the mystery here as to why they are always shredding documents at night. The most recent decisions of the NMRA were made with pharmaceutical firms.
රැට ඇවිල්ලා රාත්‍රියේ ඇවිල්ලා මේ ලිපිගණු කපන්න නම් අනිවාර්යෙන් රහසක් තිබිලා තිනවා. අපි දන්නවා පහුගිය කාලවල මේ තීන්දුව తీරන ගොඩක් අරන් තිබ්බේ ඖෂධ සමාගම් සමග එකතු වෙලා.
The Government Pharmacists Association has voiced its worries against the backdrop of criminal investigation into a large-scale fake human immunoglobulin transaction. This development comes as 6 individuals, including the former Secretary of the Ministry of Health, remain in remand custody over their alleged involvement in the case.
Newsfirst with the people.
The Sri Lankan government has implemented a significant increase in value-added tax on various goods and services. The new measures see that existing 15% VAT rate for some goods and services rise to 18%. Additionally, a new 18% tax bracket was introduced for a wider range of items. Addressing the Shilpa Abhimani 2023 Presidential Handicraft Awards ceremony, President Ranil Wickremesinghe defended the decision, citing the nation's challenging economic situation. The government had previously incurred substantial debt from banks, causing the collapse of 2 state banks. To address these issues, an agreement was reached with the International Monetary Fund, committing to abstain from taking loans from banks and refraining from printing money. To bolster the government's income, we aim to achieve a revenue equivalent to 12% of the gross domestic product this year, with an ultimate target of 15%. This increased income is pivotal for economic advancement. Given the constraints of not being able to print money or secure loans from banks, the primary avenue to bolster government revenue became evident. Consequently, the value-added tax was raised from 15 to 18%, and various goods previously exempted from VAT were brought under its purview. These measures, albeit challenging, are essential for generating the necessary income, ultimately strengthening the rupee. We acknowledge that such adjustments may pose difficulties for everyone, but it is the path we must undertake to secure our economic future. If these actions are not taken, our prospects become uncertain. Some may suggest printing money and obtaining bank loans, but such measures would jeopardize our support from the IMF. Despite the challenges we face along this path, there is a positive outlook for the strengthening of the rupee by the end of the year, with its value increasing progressively. Preserving the value of the rupee is crucial. While providing concessions, we must avoid devaluing the currency. That would have detrimental consequences. Admittedly, this may not be a popular program, but it is the only pragmatic option available. If these are the alternative programs for economic recovery, they should be presented accompanied by a clear strategy on how to garner the support of the IMF. We cannot afford to revert to an era marked by shortages of fuel, fertilizer and a collapsed economy.
While the political landscape in Sri Lanka simmers with speculation about potential alliances and early elections, the Samagya Jana Balawegaya is focusing on crafting its own vision for the nation's economic recovery. At a press conference held today, Dr. Harsha De Silva, member of the party's Economic Policy Centre, outlined the key tenets of the SJB's alternative economic programme.
අපිට ආරංචි වෙන විදියට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙච්ච ප්‍රමාණයට වඩා බදු එකතු වෙලා තියෙනවා. රුපියල් බිලියන 3.
We are told that the tax revenue has exceeded expectations, reaching 3.1 trillion rupees. This represents 11.2% of our GDP, and they aim to increase it further to 13% in the coming year. Achieving a balanced primary account is a positive sign, but we understand the sacrifices it requires from our citizens. At present, the Samagya Jana Balawegaya is extensively discussing its vision for the economy. Unlike those who make empty promises and act like magicians, we have been diligently developing a comprehensive economic recovery program point by point. As soon as the government changes, we will implement our economic program.
විශ්ලේෂණය කළා අපේ වැඩපිළිවෙල සකස් කර ගන්නවා. මොකද ආණ්ඩුව මාරු වෙච්ච ගමන්ම අපේ ආර්ථික වැඩපිළිවෙල ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න පටන් ගන්නවා.
ඊයේ සඳහන් කරේ අපි එකඟයි දබතුමා මෙතනදි පැහැදිලි දවසක් කිව්වා අපි එකඟ වෙන ඕන කෙනෙකුට එන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. ඔහුත් සඳහන් කරේ ආර්ථිකය හදන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. දැන් ඔබතුමා කොහොමද ඒක දකින්නේ?
ඔය වවුලගේ මවුල් ගෙදර ගියාම එල්ලිලා ඉන්න ඕනි කියලා කතාවක් තියෙනවා නේද? අපි මොඩියෝ නෙමෙයිනේ. කෙටි කෑලින රැලි වලට ඉරාන් වික්‍රමරත්න.
We are not insane. Iran Vikramaratne and Harsha De Silva are not here for short-term gains. We are driven by a clear vision, just like in a cricket match. Simply because there are cheers for a six, we cannot go for a six and lose the wicket and eventually lose the match. We are here to win the match. We came out of the UNP and made Sajith Premadasa our leader because we wanted to make him president. If that is not our position, there is no point in us staying here. We are committed to that program. People can say whatever they want, but we understand what the people feel about us.
අපිට තේරෙනවා.
මේ එකඟයි කියලා එන්න පුළුවන් නේමනොත් මේ දැන් මේ රට බංකොලොත් කරා කියලා තීන්දුවක් දීලා තියෙන කණ්ඩායමත් ඇවිල්ලා ඔබතුමාලත් එක්ක එකඟයි කියලා හිට ගනි. ආපෝ බෑ. මං කියන්නේ ගියේ නීතිපතිට.
I was going to tell the Attorney General that the court has given a decision. In that decision, it says that they must accept responsibility for their faults. We don't choose that. We must first decide what has happened to the country. When alliances are formed, various people join. We will never protect anyone who faces an allegation. Multiple factions who have been distressed due to recent economic decisions, including tax hikes, voiced their concerns.
The Entrepreneur Struggle Centre, which mainly consists of individuals engaged in small and medium-scale enterprises, had this to say.
557 properties belonging to those engaged in small and medium-scale enterprises have been auctioned off and repossessed by banks. According to stats of the Finance Ministry, the total outstanding debt is 2,000 billion rupees, but that figure is only 150 billion rupees when considering the SME sector. We wish to seek an explanation from the CBSL governor as to who owes the other 1,850 billion rupees.
මහා බැංකුව අධිපතිවරයා පැහැදිලිවම රටට හෙළි කරන්න ඕන.
The Samagya Trade Union Front claims that fuel prices are unfair.
They did not nab a single tax evader. They did not recover over 900 billion rupees of outstanding debt. They provided tax concessions to foreign firms and continues to burden the people even at a time global oil prices are down. They did not increase salaries at this difficult time. Instead, opted for more taxes, including a VAT hike. If that is what they are doing, the people should hang black flags in front of the official homes and offices of MPs, ministers who voted in favor of the budget, and also the VAT hike, and also oppose state officials who support this.
The cost of medicine is another burning issue in the country. This was highlighted by the Federation of Medical Faculty Lecturers.
This tax structure affects medicine. Therefore, it will cause a steep rise in the cost of medicine. Many Sri Lankans are now suffering with non-communicable diseases. That means they need to take medicine throughout their lives. This will make it more difficult for them to obtain medicine. We are facing a risk of losing a healthy population. We cannot value the damage we will face when substandard drugs are imported as short-term solutions to this crisis.
The People's Movement to Protecting Schools had this to say.
The VAT hike has had a direct impact on education. This burdens 4.3 million school children in Sri Lanka. School instruments alone will cost around Rs 2,000 at this rate. It will further impact a family with several children. They have piled on the burden on parents and are living lavishly.
The Director General to the President on Trade Unions hit back at the condemnation.
The VAT increased from 15 to 18% from the 1st of January. But if you observe the matter, we saw a drastic increase in the price of goods even between the 22nd to the 25th of December. An egg that cost 17 rupees was increased to 65 rupees. This does not concern VAT. It is unfair, especially for a country on its knees. VAT came into effect from the 1st of January, but cost of goods had increased already by the 20th of December. Price of fish increased last week itself. They claim that taxes are burdening them the most. But what we can see is an attempt to rile the people up and get them to protest to fulfill a certain faction's political aspirations.
United National Party Chairman Vajirabe Wardana today called for the presidential election to be held before next October.
The Constitution mentions when the presidential election must take place. Therefore, as per the Constitution, the presidential poll must take place before the end of October.
As UNP chairman Vajirabe Wardana urges an early presidential election, the opposition scene takes on a new dimension with comments from leader Sajith Premadasa.
What is the group that looted this country, led it to bankruptcy and voted to secure the post of the president trying to do? They are trying to sabotage the formation of the SLJs broad alliance, which is the only alternative for this country. The president-led government has made it their hobby to bribe their associates and create misinformation to extend their political life. You recall what happened at the 2019 presidential election and the 2020 general election. Therefore, bear in mind that the SLJ will lead the formation of a massive alliance.
මූලිකත්වයෙන් අපි දැවැන්ත පුළුල් සම්ධානයක් ගොඩනගනවා.
Sri Lankan authorities under the Operation Yuka apprehended 1,182 suspects within the past 24 hours ending 12:30 a.m. today.
Police confirmed the initiation of investigations against 44 suspects based on detention orders. Furthermore, authorities directed 47 individuals struggling with drug addiction to dedicated rehabilitation centers.
A joint operation involving the Police Special Task Force and multiple local stations and police K9 units took place in Bandaranayagapura area in Malkaduwava, Kurunegala. Around 100 police personnel took part in the operation. The operation resulted in the arrest of 10 individuals on suspicion of drug possession, including heroin and cannabis. An individual along with 500 bottles of illegal alcohol was arrested in the Navagampura area according to a tip received by the Community Police Unit of Grand Pass Police. The final rites of the police sergeant who was killed during the Yukti operation was held today. The sergeant, who was attached to the Colombo Crime Division, died during a raid near a hotel in the Palana area. The deceased police sergeant was posthumously promoted to the rank of sub-inspector.
All I have to say is that he laid his life on the line for us, and we should continue to put our lives on the line and work towards eradicating the drug menace. We will not bow down to any challenge. We will stop only after successfully eradicating this drug issue. By now we have caught over 50% of the criminals on the list. Now you can see how much the drug network has collapsed after we arrested 50% of it. We expect to complete this operation and complete 100% of the arrests by the end of January.
Uncertainty and miscommunication is reportedly plaguing the Express Pearl recovery and compensation claim.
The compensation process for victims of the Express Pearl disaster remains mired in uncertainty, with the Parliamentary Sectoral Oversight Committee on Environment highlighting a lack of coordination between key agencies and raising concern about the process of damage assessment. During a recent meeting chaired by Parliamentarian Ajith Mannamperuma, committee members questioned officials from the Marine Environment Protection Authority about the status of the compensation and the role of the expert committee appointed to assess environmental damage. MIPA officials acknowledged delays in payment to the committee for research activities and admitted there are currently no active members on the committee due to uncertainty about its future. Further complicating matters, MIPA officials reported receiving conflicting information from the Attorney General's Department and the Ministry of Justice regarding the formation of a new international expert committee. This lack of clarity and communication gaps between critical agencies were flagged as major obstacles to progress. In response to the concerns, the committee chair directed the Attorney General's Department, the Ministry of Fisheries, MIPA and the expert committee members to collaborate on a joint action plan and submit a comprehensive report outlining the way forward.
The Sirasa TV Poya Day broadcast to mark Durutu Full Moon Poya Day, which is the first Poya of this year and falls on the 25th of January, will take place at the Jayashree Mahabodhi and Ruanwalisaya premises in Anuradhapura. The initial discussions in this regard were held today in Anuradhapura under the auspices of Atamasthanaadipati, Most Venerable Pallegama Hemarathana Thero.
Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Group, Shivan Daniel, Director of Sirasa TV, Dharmasiri Bandara, Director of Public Relations at MTV, Priyantha Vijayasinghe participated in the discussion. The group first called upon Atamasthanaadipati, Most Venerable Pallegama Hemarathana Thero. The Most Venerable Thero was then informed regarding the Poya Day broadcast. Later, the delegation visited Ruanwali Chaitya Ramadhikari, Venerable E. Thalavatnuwave Gnanatilaka Thero. The Theros commented on the social and religious programs conducted by Sirasa TV.
Iranian state media says 2 explosions have struck a procession marking the anniversary of General Qasem Soleimani's assassination. The blasts reportedly happened near the slain commander's gravesite in the city of Kerman.
At least 103 people were killed today and 141 injured in an Iranian city of Kerman after twin blasts near the burial site of slain military commander Qasem Soleimani in what officials called a terror attack. Soleimani was killed by a US airstrike ordered by former President Donald Trump at Baghdad International Airport 4 years ago. Formerly one of Iran's most powerful men, Soleimani was head of the Revolutionary Guard, Quds Force, an elite unit that handles Iran's overseas operations and was deemed to be a foreign terrorist organization by the US. No group has yet claimed responsibility for the blast. Videos posted on Iranian state media showed large crowds running in the area after the explosion.
Cricket fever is gripping Sri Lanka as the national team gears up for an upcoming one-day international series against Zimbabwe. Today, the Sri Lanka Cricket Selection Committee announced the much-anticipated 17-man squad that will take on Zimbabwe.
Captain Kusal Mendis will lead the charge as Sri Lanka gears up for a 3-match ODI series against Zimbabwe starting next Saturday. Charita Salanka steps in as vice-captain, adding his own brand of leadership and skill. Joining them are Pathum Nisanka, Sadira Samarawikrama, Sahana Rachige, Nuwanindu Fernando, Dasun Shanaka, Mahesh Theekshana, Dilshan Madhushanka, Dushmanta Chamira, Dunit Vellalage, Pramod Madhushan and Jeffrey Vandersay. However, a cloud of uncertainty hangs over Wanindu Hasaranga. According to Sri Lanka Cricket, the all-rounder's inclusion is subject to his fitness. Youngsters like Avishka Fernando, Janit Lianage and Akila Dhananjaya, who impressed in the domestic circuit, earned their call-ups. The series will commence on Saturday. The new selection committee of Sri Lanka Cricket convened a media briefing in Colombo.
As a team, we have many talented players. We are not consistent in performance. There were very few backup players. To make the national setup strong, the backup must be strong. 16 catches were missed. In the international arena, we often say catches win matches. It was already discussed with the HPC and all coaches. There should be a change in the HPC and how training is done. The long-term plan we have is the 2027 World Cup. The T20 World Cup, which will be held in less than 6 months, is part of our short-term plan. We will not abandon any player. As a team, we believe that experience is also very important.
And
with that, we wrap up Primetime News for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us.
Have a pleasant evening and good night.